the yellow-bellied beasts, the Nashville Predators. They have the 15th as well as the 24th overall pick this year, so we're going to try and run through this pretty quick. This organization has an interesting situation on their hands. They have a decent amount of young players that deserve long-term contracts, or at least show-me contracts. Glass, Asplund, Carey, and Foote are all UFAs or RFAs this year, with Trennan, Tomasino, Parssinen, Novak, McCarron, as well as Fabro all UFAs or RFAs at the end of next year. With only $15 million in cap space, I don't know if they're going to have enough to feed everyone. But with 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, as well as 3 third-round picks, they're going to clean house this year if they draft properly. So let's get into who they should get at 15. With their 1 and 2 centers being Ryan Johansson and Matt Duchene, at ages 30 and 32 with 2 years and 3 years left on their contracts, at $8 million a pop. At this point, they're older, they're not really worth buying out, and you can't really scratch them because of their contract size. So just let them run till the end of their contracts. And with centers like Glass, Sissons, Svechkov as center depth for the future, it solidifies their depth, but they need a star center for the future. And with the 1 and 2 center position already taken up for the next 2 years at the very least, they can get a project player with great upside that can come in about 2 years, maybe even 3 years, and rule this team. Enter Matthew Wood, the beast of a human being from the University of Connecticut, standing at 6'3", 190 pounds. This kid's potential is unbelievable. I quite literally have his player comparison as Leon Draisaitl with a lot of physicality to his game. One thing I will say about Matthew Wood is he needs desperate help with his skating. He is a very slow skater, has decent edge balance, but not shiftiness or quickness, which is going to get him destroyed in the NHL. He has unbelievable hockey IQ as well as finishing ability with a strong shot and great passing IQ. He led the University of Connecticut in points this year, and he's only 17 years old still. And let's not kid ourselves, Leon Draisaitl and Mikko Rantanen are terrible skaters compared to most of the stars in this league, but their IQ and execution are unbelievable. So as long as he develops better skating than them in 2 to 3 years, and also uses those 2 to 3 years to develop his incredible IQ and execution in all 3 zones, with his elite level of physicality, this kid is going to be an elite star in the Western Conference. An unstoppable point monster that just cannot be pushed around. And this works perfectly for Matt Wood as well, because honestly, there are not a whole lot of organizations that'll allow him to have that much time to develop. Because with such a high pick, a lot of teams are going to rush this kid, and even though he needs a lot of time to develop. Because when you get more explosive edges and your game becomes faster, you have to readjust the entire way that you play the game. You have to be able to make decisions at a much faster pace. And your execution and timing when trying to hit your teammates in stride with plays becomes a lot more complex and difficult to execute at a high level unless you have a lot of time to prepare for it. This kid is perfect, and if he's still on the board, he is definitely got to be their guy. But if he's not available, other centers like Braden Yeager as well as Danielson aren't bad picks either. In my opinion, they have a lower ceiling than Wood, but they're a lot more NHL ready, which could be attractive to a lot of teams. So Wood is perfect for a team like Nashville, who is almost guaranteeing him at least 2 to 3 years of development. And from the trade with the Oilers, the Preds also have the 24th overall pick, which I definitely think they should use to take a defenseman. It works out perfectly because a lot of the really good defensemen are going late in the round. And at the 24th overall pick, they should have a lot of good options still available on the board. But even if they get a player with a high ceiling who needs a lot of time to develop, that is fine. Because quietly, they have one of the best defensive development programs in the entire league. Just to name a few defensemen that they developed: Weber, Fabro, Suter, Jones, Yossi, Ekholm, Ellis, and Timonen. That is a sneaky, unbelievable track record because a lot of those guys have left the team. They can develop any kind of defenseman. Defensive defenseman, two-way defenseman, offensive defenseman. I mean, geez, they're running their entire offense right now through Roman Yossi, who's a defenseman who gets 90 points. And with him being 32 years old, although he does still have 5 years left on his contract, I personally think they should take an offensive defenseman who needs some development and time, and that would be none other than Lukas Dragicevic, the 6'2", 181-pound defenseman for the Tri-City Americans in the WHL. Now hear this. The kid had 15 goals and 60 assists for 75 points in 68 games. He is an offensive demon, but his biggest issue is playing actual defense. This is because he only recently changed his position to defenseman. He is a very fast defenseman, but needs to work on his form and edges. He has fantastic playmaking as well as scoring IQ. And if there's anywhere that they're going to turn you into a two-way defensive monster like Roman Yossi, it's going to be right there in Nashville. Getting better execution defensively with his big frame and using his already unbelievable offensive talent while training under Yossi, this could be an absolute star in the making here. But really quickly, they could also go another way. Dmitry Simashev from Russia, the complete opposite to Dragicevic. A fantastic defensive defenseman who needs a lot more offensive help. Great offensive potential, but doesn't like to hold the puck often. In a great development program that's going to force him to have the puck more, he can easily turn into a demon. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and comment the next team you want to see.